Hello, fight fans, Seattle Mike, MMA friends. Everybody, please hit that like button for me. If for some god-awful reason you're not already subscribed, take care of that now. And make sure and ring that bell so you're notified whenever I drop a new video or go live, like April 18th for Khabib Nurmagomedov. Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson, and Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade. Jessica Andrade versus to be announced? What does Rose Namajunas know that we don't? This was first reported by Combate Media. We'll give them credit. And then the ESPN MMA, they broke it and gave Combate also as their source. Then about 18 hours ago, Dana White confirmed Rose Namajunas out for undisclosed reasons. But he said, and I will quote, "We have a great opponent for Jessica Andrade. She will not be disappointed." At this point, does anybody really think Dana White even knows who that opponent is? 2 weeks ago, we didn't know what the venue was. We didn't know what the main event was. We really didn't know if this was going to happen. Now we're 9 days out, and we don't know who the co-main event is. But why did Rose Namajunas pull out? I do want to talk a little bit about Rose and what Pat Barry has called her sixth sense, her husband. I went back to an old episode I remembered that was on the Joe Rogan Experience about 1.5 years ago, where Pat talks about an incident at a club. And him and his wife Rose had went out with some friends. They hadn't went out for a long time. They said, hey, we got to get out of the house. They're kind of homebodies, so they're probably surviving through this quarantine okay. But they're like, we got to get out of the house. And they're in the club, and everybody seems to be having a good time, or had been having a good time. And all of a sudden, Rose looks at Pat and says, we got to bounce now. We got to get the F out of here. And he's like, okay, just me. She's like, no, right now, run. Grab our people and run. So they grabbed 9 people that they were with. They started heading towards the door. And this is the words of Pat Barry. He said as he's exiting, he passed a big guy arguing with the security guard. They get on the other side of this guy. And all of a sudden, he pulls out an semi-automatic rifle and just starts taking people out, just starts blasting people. And that could have been them. They're watching, these people are getting shot right on the other side of them. So Rose has had a few stories like this where she said she just kind of gets this feeling and it's time to go. And she got that feeling, I believe, about UFC 249, and she says, hey, it's time to go. There's been so many things that have happened with UFC 249. Now, has anybody ever heard of course, you've heard now of the curse of Khabib versus Tony. We're looking at 5 fights now. Some people are starting to believe this. But the 3 next events are at a Native American resort in Lenmore, California, called the Tachi Resort and Casino. I don't know if any of you guys have heard rumors about, curses on tribal land, or, curses on things built on old Indian burial grounds. I don't know what this was built on, but, maybe Rose knows something about that. I don't know. Everything about this event at times has seemed like it shouldn't happen. And now we have this entire card. We have a stacked card. I mean, front to back, this thing is stacked like J-Lo in her prime. There is not a fight on this card that I do not want to see, that I'm not excited. I will definitely be there from the very first prelim, because the very first prelim it starts out is my buddy Sam Alvey versus Ryan Spann. And every fight, it's hitters. 12 fights And Dana White said about Jessica Andrade, says, I have an opponent for her. And I think she's really going to be excited about it. At this point, 9 days out, I have a pretty good idea that Dana White probably doesn't even know who that opponent is. But we're looking at 115 pounders in the rankings. The obvious choice to me is Tatiana Suarez. She's ranked number 3. She's coming off a victory over Nina Ansaroff last June. They may not make Andrade cut the weight now, though, especially if they can find a 125er, or if there's just really no reason to. And just fight at 125, and maybe that's a little bit of, a little perk for her for having to switch opponents in such a big event. But I want to know what you guys think. Would you go there? Would you fight at UFC 249 if you're a fighter? I've thought about this. I was trying to get into that casino. I was trying to get a room in there. I was trying to get a media pass and all this stuff. And now Rose coming out with this, I'm getting a little nervous. Listening to Pat Barry, I kind of started to believe her sense. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments, guys. Hopefully you guys are good mentally and, healthy physically. As always, I love you. I respect you. And until we get back to normal, guys, stay safe, stay home, and stay clean.